So it is Halloween in Colorado, and it's already been a slightly strange year. For one, the leaves are still changing, which seems really late to me. But for another, today's the first truly cold day we've had in my part of town anyway, so that's weird. The temperature reminds me, though, that I need to get on the ball preparing the trailer for winter storage. So we'll do that today. The sweet spot of this video is going to be aimed at RVs and trailers and campers and teardrops and such. And of course, some of those have more complex systems than others. But just because you don't have a plumbing or an electrical system in your vehicle, don't assume that there isn't anything here for you. After all, there's a lot more you need to worry about than just Mother Nature when it comes to preparing for the winter. So feel free to skip around to the parts that are relevant to you and in your situation, but I think you'll find that this video makes a pretty good checklist for most people winterizing each year. Now, Easton's inside, sleeping off a great morning, running around with his best friends at the dog park. So today it's just me. I'm Scruffy Golden. Why don't you come with me while we do this?
You want to begin by focusing on anything that contains water and could possibly freeze. The big kahuna on that list is the water tank. Give the tank a little help by parking on a slope or by jacking up the trailer so that the corner that's draining is at the lowest level. Then simply open up the valve and let her drain. It could take a while for the tank to drain everything, depending on how much water you have in there, of course. Now, in this case, I had a trip that didn't work out at the last minute, so I accidentally had a full tank. To drain all 21 gallons out took about 20 minutes, so don't be surprised if it takes a while. The good news is you can do other things while that is draining. Along with the water tank, you want to ensure that the water pump and accumulator, if you have one, are prepared for the winter. Water pumps can be easily ruined if the water inside freezes, so you want to ensure that you prepare them properly for the winter. With the water tank emptied, run the pump to push as much water out of it as possible. Don't run it dry for very long, just long enough to get the stream to stop. From here, you can do two things. The first is to use your air compressor to push water from the pump back into the tank. This accessory here has a rubber tip that creates a seal and makes this pretty easy. You just set your compressor to 10 to 15 psi, so pretty low, and then make sure the valve on your water tank is open. Then just blow the air back through the water line, through the pump, and back into the tank. The second thing you can do is to use some kind of antifreeze. Now, whatever you do, do not use regular automotive antifreeze. Ingesting even a little bit of this will kill you, and it takes a remarkably small amount to kill a child or pet. Now, one possibility is RV or marine grade antifreeze. This is totally safe and it's used a lot, especially in RVs, but I've always worried it would leave some kind of taste in my plumbing system. The best thing I have found is food grade propylene glycol. Propylene glycol is a food additive that will drop the freezing point when mixed with water. It's very safe, it's tasteless, and it's used in all kinds of food grade applications. In fact, the label on this thing makes for a pretty interesting read. I mean, seriously, snuff is still a thing? And since when did the Swedes corner that market? Regardless, this is a very safe way to ensure that nothing will freeze in your water lines, your water pump, or accumulator. To use it, be sure to close the valve on your water tank if it is still open, and then use your favorite way to get water into the water tank. You want to push a 1-to-1 mixture of fresh water and propylene glycol. About a half gallon of each should work just fine. Push the mixture into your tank and then run the pump until the mixture comes out. Don't drain your system. In fact, you want to leave the mixture in your system, where you can leave it until spring when you can flush it all out. Anything else that contains water needs to go inside for the winter as well, especially if it has any kind of a rubber diaphragm in it. For example, instant water heaters fall into this category, and even though they are made for outdoor use, will be ruined if left in the trailer to freeze. So these need to be disconnected and taken inside for the winter. And don't forget the coffee maker. Mine has a water tank that could be emptied, but the lines could still have water, and there is no way I am jeopardizing next year's coffee, so that puppy needs to go inside as well. With everything water related out of the way, it's time to swing your attention to the batteries. Now, it's possible you don't have a battery at all, but if you do, it's most likely to be either an AGM battery or a lithium ion battery. Let's focus on the AGM battery first. To prepare your AGM battery for winter, begin by charging it to full capacity. Ideally, an AGM battery should remain between 50 and 60 degrees Fahrenheit. So once fully charged, remove the battery from the vehicle and take it somewhere that will be warm for the length of the winter. You want to put some thought into this. To begin with, your garage is probably not warm enough. Also keep in mind that cement tends to suck the heat out of batteries, so placing it directly on the concrete in your cold basement is probably not ideal. If you're going to do this, consider putting the battery on a piece of plywood or a piece of cardboard. Lastly, you can't just put the battery away in a corner and forget about it. Unfortunately, these batteries self-discharge at 2 to 5% per month. So you will need to put a trickle charger or a smart charger on the battery to prevent it from draining to damaged levels. Okay, so what do you need to do to prepare your lithium ion battery for the winter? Well, let me show you. First, charge the battery to full capacity. Next, make sure there is no drain on the battery by either shutting off the kill switch or removing the cables from the battery post. Next, there is no next. You're done. You do not need to remove the battery from the vehicle or take it inside for the winter. You don't need to put any kind of charger on the battery, and you can literally forget about it until spring. There is nothing else you need to do. After preventing damage to the water and electrical systems, the next thing I try to prevent are smells that have all winter to ferment. First, check the refrigerator and ensure that all of the food has been removed and give it a good cleaning. On the last trip of my first year with the refrigerator, milk had leaked out without me realizing it. I did check the fridge during the winterization, but the white milk was invisible against the white floor of the fridge and I didn't see it. Several months later, I tracked the horrific smell in my garage back to the fridge where on top of it all, it was frozen solid as a rock. It took an incredible effort in the dead of winter to get rid of the milk and at least a year to get rid of the smell. So I learned my lesson. Make sure the fridge is empty and clean. Don't forget to remove all dry goods as well. Crackers, canned goods, marshmallows, chocolate. These don't necessarily smell bad when they spoil, but you're not going to eat these in the spring anyway, and you sure don't want to tempt critters by leaving these in the vehicle all winter. Don't forget to remove condiments also. Soy sauce, olive oil, that sort of thing. Next, you want to pull and clean anything that can hold smells. This means bedding, blankets, sheets, spare clothes, basically anything made of fabric. Run it all through the wash with your favorite smelling fabric softener and put it back in the trailer for the winter. Not only will you be greeted with a wonderful smelling trailer in the spring, but you also won't have to hunt everything down at that point either. If your fan sucked in lots of campfire smoke over the summer, you may even want to consider washing your curtains. By the way, if you have a problem with smells of any kind, I can't recommend this stuff enough. It's called Odoban. Check out the reviews online and you'll see what I mean. This stuff is amazing. It has a pleasant, clean smell of its own, but it doesn't just cover up or perfume things. It seems to actually break down the smell and just leave no smell at all. It's particularly good on fabrics, so instead of washing your curtains, you may consider spritzing this stuff on it instead. It usually does the trick. And in case you're wondering, yes, this is the only way I got that smell out of the refrigerator. Now give your vehicle a good cleaning. We've already mentioned mice, and they are incredible scavengers and can make a meal out of just a few crumbs. But you will also be surprised how many critters make a nest out of all the hair that hangs out in the nooks and crannies of your vehicle. This is especially true if you have a dog or cat like I do, so pull everything out, vacuum it up, and wipe it down. Here's one not many people think about, but open up that Pride and Joy awning of yours one more time. Shake out all the dirt and pine needles that the trees dropped on you all summer and make doubly sure that the awning is dry before you pack it up. If it is not completely dry, you are guaranteed to have mold come springtime. This mold will eat away the fabric as efficiently as a mouse and will have a remarkably persistent smell while you try to relax under your awning or try to sleep with an open window the following year. With everything tidied up and put away, it's time to tuck your baby in for a winter's nap. If your vehicle will spend the winter outdoors and exposed to the elements, you will want to cover the vehicle and separately cover the tires. The rubber in the tires are particularly sensitive to ultraviolet waves in the winter light and will deteriorate quickly if you don't cover them. If you store your vehicle indoors and have to deflate the tires for the vehicle to fit through the opening of, say, your garage, then be sure to re-inflate the tires once inside. If you leave the tires deflated during the winter, there will be a flat spot on the tire when spring comes. At best, you will have weakened the tire as you could chunk down the road with a less than round tire. At worst, the tire can be completely ruined, especially if left that way long enough. All right, that's done. And
It wasn't that hard. It didn't even take that long. And I don't have anything to worry about until next spring. Which reminds me, whether Old Man Winter slows down your travel plans or not, it's a good time to start planning for next year's trips, especially since most campgrounds require reservations 6 months in advance these days. So until next time, live without compromise, and I'll see you out there. Man, I love winterization. And now I got nothing to worry about for the rest of the winter. So whether Old Man Winter wasn't even too bad or take too long. So whether Old Man Winter slows down your travel and whether slow, that's done, and it didn't even take that long. And whether God, crackers and bastard. Live without compromise, and I'll see you out there. Crackers in bed are the best. All right, that's done. I don't have to worry about anything till springtime, which frankly, God, I love clean winterizing. Should have brought some water, Easton. Baby boy.